G'day, I'm Munro Hardy. I originally grew up in the bush in Victoria on a sheep property down there and had a love of the bush from a young age. Loved working hard, working with Dad in the yards and mustering sheep. I had some early inspiration, I guess, from people at school in front of me who had been working on cattle stations up north, and it was something that I was always interested in doing myself and absolutely fell in love with it, just how remote this country can be and how rugged it is. As a young fella, you hear about these stories and how wild it can be up here, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a good time, a fun time, and it's exactly what I got. You want to hook in, get the job done, and then play up when you can, you have your good times with your mates. But as you grow into those leadership positions, and for me particularly realising that this is where I wanted to be for my working career, that's when I started to sort of look at the culture and how we were behaving on stations and in stock camps. The challenges about being so remote is the isolation. Anything that you'd expect to have in town, we're a long way from. Parts of the territory are a 10-hour drive to town at least, so that's a huge challenge for us here. Where we are, we're so remote, it's actually quite a distance to get to the pub, and it's our social club on site where our socialising happens. You're part of a tight-knit group on the station, so you've all got to have quite a good relationship, I think, and you've got to manage that within the team. They might have been out in camp in the paddock in their swags for the last 2 weeks, mustering cattle and processing cattle through the yards. You're working with each other every day, so from sunrise to sunset you're working together with the same team, and then you're eating together in the camp, and you're socialising after work. Drinking's been a huge part of the culture up here. It seems to just be a part of life. Every story you hear about is something to do with that. It's at the rodeo and you go and get on the rum and people, they drink hard and play hard, but work hard. I've seen the troubles in the bush with relationships with alcohol, it can be pretty bad, especially with young people coming up and developing those negative habits, I think. You have a hard day and the first thing you want to do is go and crack a beer to deal with it and knock off and, I'm going to have a beer and forget about the day. And I think in the bush that's what we do. A lot of people do the same thing. It never occurred to me to question or to reflect on our drinking culture back then. It's just the way it was, it's how it is. You almost feel rude if you're not doing that, if you don't join in. In my early days, I remember working on a station and it was me as a head stockman working with my manager, and every day we'd knock off and we'd go to the shed, to the cool room, and we'd have a couple of beers. We'd just sit down on a milk crate and that was the end of the day. That was our wrap-up, our knock-off, and day after day that was it. It was just a habitual thing, beers at the end of the day. It was never a huge problem for me, but it was just something that I wanted to cut back on. You hear stories of people cutting back for a month or 3 months and how good it is, how good they feel. And it was just that every now and then just chipping away, hearing those stories, and that made me question my habits and what we were doing, and just thought to cut back. After years of just having a beer or two at the end of the day, I looked at my own performance and thought, right, well, I'm always a bit doughy in the morning and I want to get up feeling fresh. I want to feel like that. I want to be on top of my game all the time. When you're running a camp or a station, you're the first up, you've got to get organised for the team. So I decided to cut back initially and just cut my grog out through the weekdays, for example. And then, like everyone else, it became a New Year's resolution to let's get off the grog for good. Let's do a full month or 3 months. And I did. I got through that first 2-month period and felt incredible. Never felt so good in my life. And then, of course, the social events come around again. And now, I've been on and off the beers for, a few events over the last couple of months. And to trial that has been hugely beneficial. You're just on your game so much more. And that's why now I'm going to continue it. I think the okay to say no messaging really resonates with me because it's supporting your mates. It's not about you have to be off the beers. It's just if you want to have a beer, that's okay. But if your mate doesn't want a beer tonight, that's okay. No pressure. Combine that with the sober in the country message and what Chan's doing and seeing how other people are doing it in the bush and trying to promote that message and help others in the bush do the same. And cutting it out has helped me a lot. I'm a lot clearer in the morning. I can perform better at work and longer days, longer hours. I think the work that Sober in the Country is doing is really important. It's really powerful for people in the bush, and it's a conversation that needs to happen. We're here to support people in the bush and promote a healthy relationship with grog.